and his comments on Canelo Alvarez and other things that have to do with the sport of boxing. So let me break it down. I really enjoyed it, just hearing them talk about, the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Andre Ward will be inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame at the same time as guys, legends like Roy Jones Jr., Bernard Hopkins, James Toney, Floyd Mayweather, Holly Holm, um, um, legends in the sport of boxing. Mika Cotto's coming in there. We got just a number of legends in the sport going to be there in Connersota, New York. So that's going to be crazy. I really would love to have been there. But he was interviewed by, of course, Fight Hype. I forgot what his name is right now. Other names are coming across my mind. But Ben from Fight Hype, yeah. So it was great hearing the interview, and there's a couple of things I want to say about that. The first thing I want to say about it that I thought was really dope was the fact that Andre Ward set the record straight. Andre Ward is a straight shooter for the most part. Sometimes he says some things that I don't fully understand why he would even say it, but other times, he really shoots straight from the hip. I'm gonna go outside and just see what's going on out there. The dog's barking. Usually that dog barking, the barks for a reason. Um, but anyway, Andre Ward, man, great guy. And he set the record straight because like I was just talking to Gary Henderson. Shout out to Gary Henderson. You know, uh, Sometimes, man, there are narratives that are created, and Andrew Ward really he said the very same thing. He said, sometimes people say things and think it's true, but they're really coming from stuff that are said on platforms or YouTube channels or people who are prominent in boxing who really don't know shit about boxing. To be honest with you, he didn't say that, but I'm just saying. And it's false. It's false narratives that people echo over and over, and they don't know where it came from. You know what I'm saying? And he said basically the same things I've been saying. He said that they talk about Canelo, you know, daring to be great, which is true. He was daring to be great, no doubt about it. Did he take a risk? Absolutely. Andrew Ward thought it was a miscalculated risk in the sense that Canelo probably underestimated Dimitri Bivol, thought he was like the other fighters he was facing. Um, the thing that Andrew Ward did not agree with, and I don't agree with either, is that they're making it sound like Canelo's the only guy that has done this. You know, and I've even seen people on forums or even in the public spaces, denigrating other fighters and trying to elevate Canelo, and he lost. Now, Andrew Ward said, Canelo, this is not the first trip up to 175 by Canelo. He went up and he faced Sergey Kovalev, as we all know, and he knocked out Sergey Kovalev, beat him. Um, so he'd been at 175 before. So how is he daring to be great by returning to 175? I mean, yeah, okay, he's daring to. He took on a very tough challenge in Dimitri Bivol, which Andrew Ward had said since 2019 that Canelo shouldn't step up to 175 and face Bivol or Birbiev. Now, I and Andrew Ward, well, I don't know if his opinion has changed since then. Birbiev is a big, strong 175 pounder who actually in the amateurs was a super heavyweight. So, but at the same time, I want to say that as strong as Birbiev is, and yes, he has a great amateur pedigree and all of that, I think that Canelo would beat he would beat Artur Beterbiev. Beterbiev, sorry. I think he would beat Artur Beterbiev at this time. It's not because he's long in the tooth or anything like that, because his style is one in which he's not the fastest guy in the world, but he's plenty quick. He throws those short chopping punches, very short shots, that really hurt our opponent. Puts good leverage into it. So he sometimes bend the Marcus of Queensberry rules. He track you down. He can box off the back foot, the front foot, really well schooled. But he's slow. Compared to Canelo, he's slow. Bevo's faster, much more lighter on his feet, quicker on his feet. And don't get me wrong, Beterbiev is a hell of a fighter, is explosive and everything, but it's just that I believe that Canelo would outbox and beat up Beterbiev. And no disrespect to Beterbiev, but styles make fights, in my opinion. And so when I heard Andrew Ward say, he thinks that Beterbiev would Don't I mean this was 2019. This is 2022. So I don't know if he holds that same opinion, but I do think that Canelo beats Beterbiev. I think he also beats. I always believe this though. I actually put arguments out on Canelo beating Beterbiev, and not only Beterbiev, but also I think he beats Joe Smith Jr. The reason being, he has already dealt with a sort of unstoppable force in Gennady Golovkin. And even if we look at the Dmitry Bivol fight, Canelo didn't really take much punishment. Bivol was throwing like 3, 4, 5 punch combinations. Maybe one out of the five would clip Canelo, and he would ride a shot. So I never really saw Canelo ever seriously hurt by Bivol. I think his jabs did more damage than anything else. Um, and I just don't see Beterbiev having that reflexes, the skill, the speed, the footwork, the IQ. He has good IQ, but he does not have Bevo's IQ, and he doesn't set up shots like that. And so I just don't see Beterbiev giving Canelo the kind of problems that Bivol did. And on top of that, Bivol is able to burn out Canelo because he's made Canelo come chase him at certain points in time. So I just think that, Andre Ward said something that was very revealing. He said, what Bivol did was the same thing that they criticized boxers like himself and so many other boxers who box on the back foot. They call them runners and huggers and all kinds of shit. But this is what boxing's about. If you want to set up your opponent, you fight off the back foot. You got to be able to do both. Fight off the front foot and the back foot. And you must be, as balanced as you can and as skilled as you can doing both. This is boxing. This is not fucking slugfest. This is not MMA. This is boxing. And the heart of boxing, the soul of boxing, the sweet science of boxing is to hit and not get hit. That's the goal. The goal is to hit and not get hit. You're not. I don't care what it is. You could have the most basic punch in boxing, which is the jab. The reason you're jabbing instead of throwing power punches and just flailing hands around is because you want to hit the guy and not get hit. That's the whole point behind a fucking jab. You know what I'm saying? And so that's the essence of boxing. The ultimate boxer hits and doesn't get hit. And people don't like to hear me say this because then it sounds like I'm praising Floyd or some shit like that. But there's so many great boxers who hit and did not get hit. That's what he did. Whether it's Muhammad Ali we talking about, whether he's stick and move, baby. Or whether it's Sugar Ray Leonard when he was facing Marvin Hagler, stick and fucking move. Okay? That's what it's the sweet science. And I don't understand why people don't like it. But anyway, back to what I was saying. So Andre Ward was talking about that and how people, are being very negative of it. And but that's what boxing is. If and it shows to me, like I said before, Larry Merchant and Jim Lampley did so much damage to the sport of boxing, in my opinion, because they made boxing sound like it was rock'em sock'em robots. That's not what the fuck boxing is. Okay, boxing never was that. It never will be. And if you believe that's what it is, then you should get into another fucking sport. Okay, the guys who are punching bags, the tough guys in boxing, don't last very long. You try to have a career where you live in the life of a Rocky movie. Guess what? Your career has been shelved. You're gonna be nothing very soon. Cause ain't nobody just take punches and just eat punches and that's all they do. I mean, you're not going to win fights by just being the tough guy. You may win 1 or 2 fights, but you ain't going to win much fights. And you're not going to last very long because boxing is a sport where it's not about taking punches as much as it's giving punches and making sure you don't take punches. You're not going to last long. You're going to get CTE. You're going to get what's called punch drunk syndrome. All right? So I don't think that's cool. I don't think taking punishment is cool. This is boxing. This is not some freaking tough man contest. All right, you want a tough man contest, or you want to look at people who take pain thresholds and shit? Go look at that somewhere else. Not boxing. Now boxing is a sport though where it can get very bloody, very violent, very vicious. Arthur Beterbiev's last fight, there was a head clash. Marcus Brown is known for butting people. And he but Arthur Beterbiev bust a big gash in his head, so blood everywhere. Okay, but he fought through that and stopped Marcus Brown ass still. Okay, I remember Battle Jack with Marcus Brown. Marcus Brown was guilty of this again. Headbutt him again. Big gash, blood everywhere. Battle just fought through it because that's what real true champions and real true warriors and fighters do. You stay focused on what you're doing. It don't matter if blood bleeding, if you're blind in one eye, it don't really matter. You just fight through it. And that's what boxing's about. It's very inspiring. It's a very rough and rugged sport. You're taking a lot of punishment to start with. I don't care if it's taking punishment in training. I don't care what it is. You're always taking punishment. Your body's always getting broken down. So it's a tough ass sport for somebody to say, "Oh man, let me just let it all fly." And if they wing and knock my ass out 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times, maybe 20 times, maybe I take punishment all the way to the final bell, and this, my heart is bleeding. I might come out of the ring paralyzed. Oh, so be it. No, motherfucker, this is stupid. It's stupid. That's not what boxing's about. That's stupid. Okay, that is not boxing. All right, that fucking Rocky movie. I hate Rocky movies for that. I know Andrew Ward was in a Rocky movie, but I hate the Rocky movies for that aspect of it. The blood, guts, and gore where Rocky just keep on taking punishment. That is bullshit. That's Hollywood. That shit don't happen in reality. People get messed the fuck up. I've seen guys get their jaws broken. I've seen guys have internal injuries and shit. Okay? You remember what happened to Ali Bashir? Are y'all out of your damn minds? This is boxing, y'all. These guys hit hard. And if you do not know how to ride punches, roll punches, catch punches, and all that shit, you are not going to last very long. You may last a couple months in the sport, and you'll be out of it with serious injuries and a high medical bill. Okay? It's not one of those sports. That's why there's not a lot of people that go into boxing like that. And the people who usually go into boxing are from poor areas. I'm a middle class dude, but I'm going into boxing. I go into boxing because my mentality and my mindset is one that I can focus in on that, and it helps me. And if I screw up in training and I try to cut corners, I'm gonna ultimately pay for it in the ring. So, boxing keep you honest. You know what I'm saying? But make no mistake about this sport. Make no mistake about this sport. It is deadly, and it treats you as well as you treat yourself. But even so, anything can happen in that square circle. Okay? So that's why defense is the most important thing in boxing to preserve a fighter. It's a tough sport. Now, Floyd Mayweather is an exception to the rule. We're going to talk about him. We're going to talk about Andrew Ward, maybe refer to him. But first of all, let me get back to what Andrew Ward was saying. So Andrew Ward was saying that, what people call running today from these ignorant casuals, whether they're from Philippines or whether they're from, because it started with the Philippines. I know it started before that in the 80s and 70s with these stupid ass people talking about running. Anybody calling anybody a runner is because they can't fucking cut off the ring. If a boxer tells another boxer, "Oh, you was running," you couldn't cut off the ring. That's what happened. If he's running, catch him. It's a circular ring. There's nowhere to go. He had to climb out the ring. And if he climbs out the ring, guess what? He forfeits his opportunity to get back into the match. And so he loses. So ultimately, at the end of the day, there's no such thing as running in a boxing ring. A guy might even go for a jog. He might be literally running because he's afraid of you. But guess what? Guess what? He abandoned his boxing and he's just running now. Guess what? Knock his ass out because you can get him. It's a ring. Cut it off. Cut off the ring and get him. Right? And that's an art in and of itself. And knock his ass out. That's what you got to do. If a guy's afraid of you in the ring, you done already win half the battle. Just go get him now. Go get him. And a real complete boxer, they're going to finish that fight. They're going to knock that guy's ass out. They're not going to let him lap the ring and lap the other way and lap. No. They're going to cut him off and they'll make him fight. And they'll knock his ass out. That's what you do. That's what you do in boxing. Okay? So there's no such thing as running. Even the people who actually are running, because they really are afraid in that ring. If they're afraid, fear is perfect. Perfect. That means you won the fight already. All you got to do is touch him and knock him out. Because he'll knock out he'll knock out his own damn self. He'll knock out his own damn self because he's afraid. All right? We've seen that time and time again against Mike Tyson against his opponents. They were so afraid, he just touched them and they went to sleep. Right? So, if y'all being real, and you talk about cowards and all this nonsense, if y'all being real, a real fighter knows how to box off the back foot, the front foot, inside, outside the pocket. Okay? That's a real fighter. Center of the ring, on the ropes, A real fighter, a real all-around fighter, a complete fighter. All right, and if y'all want to add in knockouts, whatever, I don't care. But ultimately, at the end of the day, Andrew Ward is right. The thing that people criticize, Bevo for, and no, sorry, they criticize a lot of black fighters for. Bevo, that's what he did, and he beat Canelo. He beat him comprehensively. And they say, a lot of people say, tell me, oh, this is a boring fight. That's a boring. Man, man. I sometimes I told one guy online. I said, hey, Ninja, listen, homie, slap yourself. Okay, slap yourself. Ness from the Boxing Voice. I always remember Ness from the Boxing Voice because Ness was saying a lot of these guys don't fight. A lot of these guys don't know combos. A lot of these guys don't know punches. A lot of these guys don't know punch selection. A lot of these guys don't understand game strategy, game plan. What is going on? What's the keys to victory? They don't know none of that. The announcer got to tell them everything because they stupid like that. And they just echo whatever the announcer say. And then they say, no, I judge a fight with it sound off. You know what I'm saying? It really annoys me. It really does. But anyway, I don't want to be a hater on here and keep on talking like that. But man, the dumbass things fans say. And they don't even know where it's coming from. But anyway, let me get back to what I was saying. So Andrew Ward, man, he said, these fans, they be echoing things and they don't even know where the information come from. You know what I mean? So the fans started echoing that, Bevo was too big for Canelo. Now, how can he be too big for Canelo when Canelo went up to 175 before? We're not saying that he didn't take a big risk against Bevo. He obviously miscalculated, right? He thought that he could take away the jab by banging on Bevo's arm. That's what he was saying. I got something for the jab, and that was what he had. But truthfully speaking, he did. I mean, I was impressed. I was shocked that he was taking on Bevo. To be honest with you, I think Andre Ward was. So we give him credit for that. But what we will not be doing is rewarding a guy and giving him credit for things where, y'all are saying it wasn't his boxing that let him down, but that his size. He was undersized. That is bullshit. Okay? And I know several people on here and the YouTube channels from Blue Blood Sports TV to all the way to Aki Sports TV. They all agree. While size played some kind of role in that fight, obviously, it was not the determining factor in that fight. In fact, the determining factor in that fight was the style that Bevo brought to the table that was kryptonite for Canelo at that point in time, and the game plan, and the mentality. That is what made the difference in that fight. Bevo was prepared, he was focused, and Canelo thought he knew what he was going into, thought he knew he had a game plan to beat Bevo, but he realized he didn't. He really tremendously didn't. Right? And he was frustrated and he came up short and he tried to lift Bevo off the ground, all kinds of crazy things they tried to do because he was frustrated. Okay? So let's be real about it. All right? That's what really happened. It wasn't that 175 is too big for Canelo. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. Bevo and Canelo are about the same size. Bevo was 183 pounds going in. I've been talking weight-wise. 183 going in. That's what Bevo told everybody. He was 183. He wasn't 190 something like Eddie Hearn was saying. Eddie Hearn was talking to his ass. Canelo came in around about that same weight. 178. I think Canelo came in for the Kovalev fight. So I believe somewhere between 178 and 180, Canelo came in. Which means Bevo was about 3 pounds heavier, if so much. 3 to 6 pounds heavier. That's not much. That's not significant. Yeah, Bevo dealt with in the ring. He dealt with, in the ring as a pro fight. He dealt with much bigger light heavyweights. But Canelo was, sparring heavyweights. He was sparring light heavyweights, Gavordik and all them guys. And what you spar these guys for is for the power. To see what the power is in a safe environment, feel the force and all of that. So you be sparring bigger guys. Besides that, that's what he did for Sergey Kovalev as well. And Sergey Kovalev, a bigger guy, longer guy than Canelo. So anyway, Andrew Ward just confirms what we already knew as boxing fans, educated boxing fans, fans who knew no boxing like that. And I'm talking from a fan perspective right now, not from a boxer's perspective. And quite frankly, you can't say that Canelo was too small for that division. He's not too small for that division. Okay? I know of a gentleman named Montel Griffin. Okay, Montel Griffin is 5'6". Okay, he have I think it was a 70-inch reach. Okay, 5'6" with a 70-inch reach. He's smaller than Canelo, and guess what? He was light heavyweight champion of the world. He boxed James Toney. He was 6 feet something. All right, and outboxed James Toney. So let's stop with that bullshit. Oh, he was too small for the division. Canelo's a small guy. No, he's not a small guy. He's 5'9", and y'all want to make him 5'8.5". You know, he's smaller than Mayweather all of a sudden. No, he's bigger than Mayweather. In fact, when he fought Mayweather, he looked like a fucking Hulk compared to Mayweather. He was so much bigger than him. And he was so much bigger than him weight-wise. 165 pounds to 150.5 pounds. Come on, man. You know what that is? That's 14.5 pounds bigger. So let's stop with the bullshit, man. And you know what's amazing? So they're talking about how Canelo has reached his peak weight or some kind of bullshit like that, which is not true. I'm going to tell you why it's not Canelo's peak weight. And Andrew Ward referred to this point. Floyd Mayweather is really a natural 140-pounder, okay? The man was fighting above his natural weight, which was 147 pounds. And Floyd topped out. He topped out at 154 pounds. Never made the 154-pound limit. Came nowhere near it. He was 150.5 pounds. That's the heaviest Floyd ever been in his professional career. No matter how much steak he eat. Okay? And Floyd came in 150.5 pounds. That's the highest he's ever been at super welterweight. Okay? Canelo on fight night comes in 165 pounds. Floyd comes in facing Canelo on the night, 148 pounds. 148 pounds. So Canelo outweighed him by 17 pounds, ladies and gentlemen. When he fought Marcos Maidana came in 165 pounds. Floyd came in 146 pounds. Marcos Maidana outweighed him by 19 pounds. Y'all want to really talk about real shit? Okay? Canelo's never had that issue. He's never faced anyone who outweighed him by that kind of weight. Because Canelo always could make the weight limit. Okay? He always could make the weight. The maximum weight limit. Okay? Lots of people say, well, Floyd never fought at middleweight, you know, and all these other guys test themselves. What the fuck you talking about? The man went through 5 weight classes, man. 5 weight classes. Okay? And he tops out. He can't get any bigger, no matter how much meat he eat, no matter how much clothes he puts on. He can't get any bigger. Okay? I think Floyd right now, Floyd walk around 155, 154, 153. That's what he walk around. That's probably his walk around weight. With clothes on, he probably make 160. Okay? Y'all be pushing it, man. Canelo hasn't maxed out yet. He could probably fight at cruiserweight. He probably could. And he probably, with the select cruiserweights out there, would beat their ass. I don't know if Maris Brothers, he could beat him. But certain cruiserweights he might be able to beat. My point anyway is this. You know, Andrew Ward just reinforced the same point I've been making, and several other people on here on YouTube, and several other people on Facebook have been making. And we are not Canelo haters. We do not hate Canelo. But we see the double standards in boxing. Just imagine if Jermell Charlo loses the undisputed championship against Brian Castani. You know those guys are going to hate on him. You know how much hate they're going to give. They're not going to say, oh, well, Jermell Charlo, you know, maybe he outgrown the weight class or trying to find excuses for it. No, they ain't going to do that. Maybe his fans will. But with Canelo, it's a totally different story. Oh, he was too small for the weight. What the fuck are you talking about? It's too small for the weight. Canelo and Bivol are the same size. Bivol was willing to go down to 168, whoop Canelo's ass again, so he had no excuse. Not to mention, Canelo has not faced Demetrius Andrade yet. The other guy that would beat his ass. Alright? So just stop with the bullshit. They say he was too young when he faced Floyd. Floyd schooled him. He was too young, was inexperienced, even though he had a whole lot more experience than anybody his age, anybody in the history of boxing his age, because he was like a 7-time, he was a 2-time, 7 successful defenses world champion. How you gonna be that and you lack experience and all this bullshit? Come on, man. Everybody lacked experience against Floyd. Cause you're the Magic Man. He knew how to make adjustments and how to make you fight a fight you didn't want to fight. That's what it is. Now, Andrew Ward is right about so many different things, and I like when he does it because he has the high profile. You know, he got the credentials. His man's a Hall of Famer, everything. And people say, "Well, Andrew Ward should never be a Hall of Famer." What the fuck are you talking about? Andrew Ward's a Hall of Famer. Listen to this. He said Andrew Ward ducked Dimitri Bivol, and he ducked out a bit of beer. Are you serious? Like you serious? Why would he duck those two guys? You know, everybody always when the Crusher was the Crusher, they had Andrew Ward go up and face the Crusher. Andrew Ward was not a 175 pounder in the pros. He was in the amateurs, he was, but in the pros, no. They made him move up. The network made him move up, face the Crusher. They thought the Crusher would have crushed his ass. It didn't happen. He beat the Crusher's ass, and then he come back in the rematch and stopped the Crusher. Nobody ever done that before, right? Then they tried to pit Canelo against Andrew Ward, but all of a sudden Canelo's too small. All of a sudden Canelo's too small because he lost. He got out of box. You know, this is stupidness. Just imagine the news headline: if Floyd Mayweather was to lose, even in his old age, to somebody, we wouldn't hear the end of that. We saw what happened with Adrian Broner. Adrian Broner dared to be great. 4 division world champion, just like Canelo. Got beat by Marcus Maidana, and y'all clowned his ass. Y'all wouldn't let him. Y'all wouldn't make him live down. Y'all don't want him to live down that. To this day, y'all call him a clown, all kinds of things. Adrian Broner. The hate because he's black and he outspoken. I'm gonna talk some more. I'm gonna talk some more about this because this is what Andrew Ward was highlighting: the inconsistencies in these people. They like who they like and they like who they like. So Canelo's their dude. The establishment's dude. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. And don't get me wrong, Canelo's a hell of a fighter. I don't got many people beating him. But get it straight. Get it straight and get it right. And I love Canelo. I really do. I really do. I want to see him do better. I want to see him work on his footwork. I want to see him work on his foot activities, conditioning. But having said all of that, let's be real about this. Let's be real about this. Andre Ward is right. If this was Deontay Wilder, look at it. Deontay Wilder got beat by Tyson Fury twice officially, 3 times really. And we haven't heard the last. And he said he wanted to fight, just like Canelo. He just said he wanted the fight and everything. And behave stupid, just like how Canelo behaving stupid now. But y'all defend Canelo though. Y'all defend Canelo. Now we don't deny that Canelo's the face of boxing. He's the cash cow. It is what it is. I have a lot of respect for Canelo. I appreciate what he's done in the sport. But y'all need to get it right, man. He got a box. Right? And he better go face Gennady Golovkin, give DAZN what they want. This is the fight they wanted all the time. Give them the fight they want. Beat Gennady Golovkin's ass. Step up and face one of them young strong lions, or face somebody that DAZN throw at you. Whatever. Make you look good. Whatever. Alright? But ultimately, in the end of the day, Canelo lost. There's no other way to say it. No excuses. He lost to the better man that night. Right? I think he's doing the right thing, as Andrew Ward said, wanting that rematch. I know DAZN doesn't seem to want him to get the rematch, but Canelo, if you want that rematch, you need to make that demand with DAZN and work it out, because you want your get back on Bivol. But I suggest very strongly that you work on your leg cardio. And all this shit about running, motherfucker, you get on that bicycle and you run whole day. Stick and move, baby. Stick and move. You need that mobility, and you need to be able to do that for 15 rounds. 40 times. 15 rounds. Stick and move. Get some sparring partners. Spar. Let them get the biggest, strongest pressure fighters you can to make you get on your bicycle and move all around the ring. We don't want no jogging. We want quick. What I'm talking about, throwing combinations and shit off the back foot. Combinations off the back foot. Quick movements. Shifting your weight really rapidly between the 2 feet. Go like that for 15 rounds. We want ready feet. And you'll be unstoppable. You will be unstoppable. That's what we need. And we need off the back foot first. Then off the front foot. Bobbing and weaving, dipping and slipping, all that shit. Because if you can't do that, believe you me, Floyd Mayweather run those drills. He had all those drills to sharpen up his feet. His feet was always ready. That's why he couldn't. He was always sharp. You know, it's not just the upper body movement. You gotta have the lower body movement and quick. And we don't want you standing in some fucking corner just moving your upper body. No, you gotta move everything. Everything. I know you're quick already, but you gotta be quick continuously and when it's called for at what the time you need it. You can't be working in staccato bursts. You're gonna lose against a consistent fighter. Beeble's one of those. He's nothing fancy, he's nothing flashy, but he is textbook. He's classical. Like Sugar Ray Robinson, all them guys. It was classical. They did a little razzle dazzle every now and then, but not so much. And Beeble's not into the razzle dazzle. He's into what's functional and efficient. And if you ain't up to the task, he'll go mow over you again. I don't care what weight class it is. This is what you need. I had to say my piece. Shout out to Andre Ward, man who says the truth most of the time. Sometimes he be way off. But anyway, shout out to Andre Ward. Shout out to everybody else. I'm what you need. Peace. Success to Andre Ward, Hall of Famer. I believe you earned your stripes to get into the Boxing Hall of Fame. I don't care what the haters say. Peace.